Hi, I'm Joe Saunders with Miniature Landscape Hobbies. In this episode, we're going to talk about preparing flags for wargaming miniatures. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is proudly supported by these sponsors. Adding flags to your ranks of model soldiers just looks great. Nothing conveys the pomp and circumstance of the Napoleonic Wars like adding interesting battle standards to your troops. Despite this, I see a lot of model builders that avoid adding flags to their units. The reason for it is they don't understand the skill set. I'm here to dispel the myth that this is something that's difficult to do. In fact, adding flags is pretty straightforward. You just need a few basic skills. In this video, I'm going to take you through my method for getting flags and battle standards put on your models so that they're ready to go on the table and look great. Let's get to it. Do you like free paint? Of course you would. You're a miniature painter. And now could be your lucky day because Miniature Landscape Hobbies is holding a contest. You can win a free Army Painter Most Wanted speed paint set. In order to enter, all you need to do is comment on a post on Miniature Landscape Hobbies pages for Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Share your favorite hobby tip and then enter hashtag MLH to participate. The first thing you need to tackle while preparing flags and battle standards for your models is, of course, finding the flags themselves. This is not usually that hard. Quite a few historical model companies include a selection of flags with their kits. As long as you're not too picky about the unit, then you can just go ahead and use these. If your specific unit is there, then all the better. Beyond this, quite a few manufacturers such as Vitrix will actually sell you a sheet of flags. I've also heard of really talented miniaturists that paint the flags themselves. If you can do that, my hat is off to you. But for most of us, this likely isn't really a possibility. If none of these options suit, then you have to go hunting. There are a few places online where you can find flags to print, but usually the resolution is an issue. However, I've had good luck with warflag.com. If you're handy with a graphics program, you can use these images to make your own. I suggest if you do this that you consider having them professionally printed on a slightly heavier paper stock. Most home printers just aren't good enough for the task. Also, get more copies than you actually need for each flag. Accidents do happen. I can't tell you how many times I've put a flag on upside down. Don't laugh. It'll happen to you. I guarantee it. So, with the flags now in hand, we can look at the supplies you need. First, of course, is the model. In this case, a British command group by Warlord Games. And then the flags themselves. You'll also want sprue cutters, a knife with a fresh blade, the sharper the better, Mod Podge or white glue, and a varnish. Mine is matte, but you might prefer something else. A steel ruler is a must, and a cutting mat isn't required, but you should get one anyways. If you need to make your own flagpole, you'll also want a length of brass rod. About 0.4 of a millimeter is what I use, but I suppose there are a ton of options that would vary by your chosen scale. And lastly, if you're making your own pole, you need a pin vise. Start by preparing your models as normal. Trim the flash and tags on them as required. Often flags have finials at the top. Prepare these too, and at this point you can gently bend them to imply motion in the wind. Now you can move on to the flagpole. Grab your pin vise and load it with a bit slightly bigger than the rod you're using for the pole. I'm using 0.4 millimeters, so I'll use a 0.5 millimeter bit. Then drill out the model's hand to take the rod. When the hole is drilled, test fit the rod and clean up any burrs with a knife or needle file. The model is ready, so put your brass rod on a flat surface or cutting mat and measure the length. You'll want to know the width of your flag to be sure it will fit. The adage, measure twice, cut once, applies here. I figure for my 28mm Napoleonics, 6 centimeters is a good length. If your flag has a finial, now is a good time to glue it in place. Don't mess around with this. Get a high-end super glue and accelerant so you can bond it securely and instantly. Okay, the pole is ready and the model is ready to go, so now you can super glue the rod into place. You want this secure and the glue fully set before moving on. Again, get yourself some super glue accelerant to make your life easy. You can go ahead now and prime and paint your model as you see fit. Now is also a good time to do the basing. Either while you work on the model or afterwards, get out your flag and put it on your work surface. Using the sharpest blade you can get, and with your metal ruler, cut out your flag. This isn't that easy, so go slow and be careful. I tend to favor cutting inside the flag slightly, as cleaning the edges up later is difficult. With the flag cut out, take out some paint and mix a color that approximates the dominant color on it. It may take a little work to get the shade just right. Go ahead and paint this around the edges on the reverse side. Give it a fairly wide border. This provides a little more stiffness, but really it works as insurance for the next couple of steps. Now you can get out your white glue or Mod Podge and brush it over the entire backside of the flag. Carefully take this and find the center point where the bend should be. Crease the flag slightly at that point, then insert it around the pole. Carefully line up the edges of the flag and press them together. You can slide the paper around slightly to match everything up. Now, unless the miniature painting gods are smiling on you, there'll be some overlap. Fortunately, you anticipated this by painting on the inside of the flag. If it stands out, you can get your knife and trim a little, but be careful. After everything is neat, you can gently bend the flag into shape so that it appears that it's blowing in the wind. If necessary, take a fine brush, get the color you mixed, and paint around the edges so white is not visible. You're now close to finishing, but you're not quite done yet. Once the glue is set, take out your varnish and apply it to the flag. I have an airbrush, but you might use a rattle can that's safe for your miniatures, or you could hand paint it. I'll usually treat the whole model at the same time as well, but that's up to you. Whatever you do though, don't skip this step. The varnish seals the flag, protecting it, and adds a large amount of structure so that it's not damaged during wargaming. Now you're finished, and should have some beautiful battle standards ready to dazzle your regular opponents and create a better, more immersive visual experience for everyone. I hope you found this useful. If you have any tips you would like to pass on, please put them in the comments, or better yet, use them to participate in my draw for the Army Painter Most Wanted Speed Paint set. If you'd like to learn more about basing miniatures, watch this video, or watch this other video instead. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep building life in miniature.